Welcome, everybody, and thank you for allowing us to share our demo for the future of project and portfolio management with Microsoft. My name is Megan, and I'm an account manager here at Marquee 360. And you'll also be hearing from Charlene, our West Coast account manager, and Mia, our solutions architect, who's going to be doing the demo today. The agenda will be, Charlene and I'll give you a little background on Marquee 360 and our focus areas. Mia will show the demo, and Leslie will have time for Q&A. And we love an interactive audience. I say this every time. So please ask questions along the way, or go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll get them answered. And we will, of course, be sending out the demo and the recording after the demo to y'all. So a little bit about us. Marquee was founded by former Microsoft employees who are very well respected and considered industry leaders. We have a really seasoned team with 20 plus years in the PMO industry, dedicated to creating a seamless and user-friendly solution. Our mission is to drive growth, enhance your internal processes, and we achieve this by implementing best practices to optimize efficiencies and overcome any of your current challenges. Also, a little bragging, we were honored to be recognized as a finalist for Microsoft's Partner of the Year for Project and Portfolio Management, not only this year, but in 2022 and 2023, which obviously proves our strong relationship and partnership with the Microsoft team. So our core areas for success are innovation. We are definitely pioneers in enhancing the Microsoft suite on the Power Platform and bridging any gaps that may exist. Our goal is to elevate it to new heights and to customize it and align it with whatever your specific requirements are. We work side by side with Microsoft's technology team during their development, which ensures that our solutions are continuously updated and that we stay ahead of any technology curves. Customer access, we act as your trusted advisor, ensuring unwavering support from beginning to end. And we utilize our extensive expertise and best practices to tailor our solutions and to align with whatever your organization's unique PMO needs are. And then lastly, we recognize the critical role that support is in any new program. And that's why we're fully committed to providing a comprehensive support system from start to finish. And now I'll hand it off to Charlene, who's going to be going over some of our key PPM 360 solutions.
Thank you, Megan. So like Megan said, welcome to our Future of Project Management with Microsoft webinar, where we're going to be providing you with some insights on the Microsoft Planner integration with To-Do, Planner, and Project for the Web. So including new releases and what's to come on the roadmap. So modern work management spans two subcategories of collaborative work management and enterprise work management. And it includes the full spectrum of tools empowering information workers, informal project managers, and professional project managers. So Planner, which was formerly called Project for the Web, provides a sophisticated project management platform built on Microsoft Power Platform, allowing integration with various other Microsoft applications, including Copilot, Power BI, and Power Automate. The future of project management brought by Project for the Web and Planner together provides task management capabilities, which can be extended to what project managers need for project management. So this is Microsoft's newest product offering. Microsoft has invested a lot of research and development work into making the work management experience easier. So the new planner includes enhanced features, including baseline, conditional coloring, advanced dependencies, task details, task assignments, new resource views, and more, which we're going to take a look at today. So new planner includes features that allow you to see all of your work in a single view and allows you to manage tasks, to-dos, and projects within one app. And like I said, this just shows a little bit more specifically about what we do with Microsoft Project. We take the capabilities that are already existing and expand on them. So Project, as it comes, you get some light task management, and we use Power Apps to give you an intake app, timesheets, budgets, things that aren't already existing in Project. And then we connect them with Teams to give you that collaboration back and forth, all in one ecosystem. We use Power Automate to automate processes and workflows in the background. And then we have Power BI report packs so that all that data ends up in really nice interactive dashboards where you can view all of your data from your projects. And then now I think I'll pass it over to Mia, who will get into some specifics for our demo.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. And today we're really excited to show you some of where Microsoft is heading. When it comes to task management and project management, it is really important that we have something that is intuitive and easy to track the tasks that we're assigning and the tasks that are assigned to us. What we're going to look at today in Microsoft Planner is really going to help us in that regard. We're going to be able to look at things on a couple of different levels. We'll be able to see how to track our personal tasks, how to maintain projects that are quite simple, right? With modern work management, being able to view tasks in different ways in teams are going to be really helpful. We'll look at some of the different views and how to set up tasks. We'll also talk about collaboration and how we can use these features from Microsoft to collaborate with our team and make sure that everybody's in the loop. And what we'll see here is that there are a couple things that are available to meet our needs at different levels, right? So if we need something simple, there is a very quick solution for that. And then as our needs increase, we've got solutions for those as well. So if we need to create a quick project plan and invite a few other people, we can do that. But if we need something that is a little bit more in depth and maybe will allow us to run an agile project or have some dependencies, we can use that too. And for professional project managers, they're used to things like baselines and advanced dependencies. Those tools are available as well. So we'll take a look at those. And with that, let's head over into the demo. I'm going to head over first into Microsoft Teams, and I'll show you my Teams environment. So Teams is a great place for collaboration. A lot of our customers use Teams to stay in touch with their teams. We focus on providing one connected experience, just like Charlene was saying. So there are different parts of this that will sync over with Teams. For us, we always provide the availability if you want to sync a project plan over with Teams. It's possible to have your project plans sync over and display here. So all of our task details, all of our project level details as well will show here. We'll come back and look at that a little bit more later. But in Teams, as you know, we can have activity updates based on flows that we set up. We can chat with our team, of course, view all of our calendar information, but also Planner has been updated in Teams. So this was formerly tasked by Planner in To Do, and now you'll see that there's a refreshed logo and an updated name. So everything that we're used to with Planner and To Do is all still here, but it also includes plans. So those plans that we're working on in things like Microsoft Project for the Web, right? That's transitioning over to Planner. So part of what we'll see is going to look very familiar, whether you're familiar with Planner or with Project for the Web. Megan, I just saw your hand go up.
Yes, Mark has a question. He would like an explanation on the difference between groups and teams, when and how to use each.
All right, well, we'll get to see some of that. The teams are going to be set up in this team section. And what it is kind of a collection of two different things. It's a collection of people and also a collection of things like our files that we're going to use for a project. Maybe also our project is going to be visible here. And then when it comes to groups, those are more just the collection of people. One of the things that we're going to see as we start to create our planner plans is that we're going to be able to add a group to that plan. So that'll be that collection of people that we can add to a plan so that we already have people assigned. I hope that answer helped, but if not, please feel free to add more into the chat. Thanks, Megan. So we'll start off with just task management, right? This is one of the most important things in our lives as people that get assigned to tasks and also as people that are managing projects. In Planner, there's a very simple menu over here on the left, my day is going to show a lot like what it sounds like. This is what I have due today. So no surprise to any of you here, I've got a couple of tasks that are related to this webinar. You'll see that the plan column is here, and this is telling me the origin of these tasks. So note that the first one is a private task. This is a task that I made for myself to remind myself to, prepare for this. So we can open it up and see kind of like a planner card here. So we've got a bucket if we needed one. The progress is here, priority, and we'll see that throughout the process. And then we'll see with the second version, this is the one that was assigned to me from people that have created a plan related to marketing. We can see some other information here, like the due date, priority, and our progress. There's a little bar here. So the quick look will let me know if we've got checklist items or notes that I might need to pay attention to. So this is a quick way to know what you're expected to do today. Under my tasks, this is where we'll see all of the different tasks that are assigned to me show up in one place. And remember, this is a combination of to do and, the previous version of planner. So what we can see here are a couple of different classifications of tasks. The first one here are the private tasks. These are all the tasks that I've assigned to myself, things that I want to make sure that I start doing. You can see that there's a quick look. So there's some checklist items here. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll just kind of take a look at these. These are just personal tasks that I've made for myself. Under assigned to me, we'll see these tasks that are assigned to me from different plans. So the plan names are all here. For all of these, we'll see these different menus. So we can search. If I'm looking for a specific task and I have quite a long list like I do here, I can search. And what it'll do is show me, if I know I have a task that is related to ANA, I can search for that. Not only will I see tasks that begin with ANA, but I'll see tasks with ANA anywhere in the name. There are also my flagged emails. I don't know if I'm the only one that does this or not. I can't be, but I have a lot of emails that come through, and sometimes I can't act on them right away, or maybe it's something that I want to remember to check in on later. So I'll flag it. And then that way I get to see it here under my list of tasks. Right? So this podcast that I've been meaning to listen to, right? I've got this flagged here, so it's automatically added to my to-do list. Under all items, here we can see everything coming together. So all of my flagged emails, as I scroll down, we'll see some of these that come from project plans, and then some of these that are private tasks as well. Right, so these are more individual task management, right? And then the other part of this are, of course, the plans. These plans could have been created by me. They also could have been created by others. There's a question in the chat about how we would add a flagged email. Give me 1 second. I'll pull over my Outlook inbox. I'll expand this to you. So when you're in your inbox, and I have this filter just to show the unread, you'll just flag it here, and that will add it to your list. And so a lot of times we do spend a lot of time in Outlook, right? So it does help to know that to do is still here in Outlook. It might depend on which version you're using, but to do is here. So all of these tasks I can also get through in this area, right? Because to do and planner are merged together in both places. So I can see my individual tasks, my flagged emails, tasks assigned to me. My day is also here. All right, I saw that response in the chat, but let me know if anything else comes up. So
one more question, Mia. If you have
sure.
an established group, can you create a plan that contains only a subset of that group?
Ooh, I think that you might be better off creating a new group. It's tough to say out of context, but typically that's what I do when I'm assigning these. And part of what we'll see, actually, let's go there now. When we're creating a plan, we will have an option to either add a group or we can add individual people. Part of the decision making here might be how big your group is and what your purpose is. You might want to have some additional people, even though you won't assign them to any tasks. So those are all parts of that decision. When we are creating a new plan, we've got a couple of options. There are templates, which are always good. What we're going to do is we'll kind of go a different way today, and we'll just create it from scratch. The basic plan here is just like what it sounds. It's very basic and straightforward. This is something that anybody with a Microsoft 365 license would have access to as part of their 365 subscription. So when we go to basic, it's going to ask us a couple of questions. Of course, we will need to give this plan a name. We could add it to our pinned plan so that it shows up right away on this side. We might as well do that today. And then here, we could add a group. So for these, what we'll see here are the different Microsoft groups. What happens when we create a project, right? Or a plan, or when we create a team in Microsoft Teams, right? This one is from Teams, so is this. It creates a Microsoft group, a group of people. So remember earlier, I think the first question we had was about, creating a team versus creating a plan, creating a group. So the team is going to create a group of people, members of that team, and that's part of what we can choose from here. And then here, what we're going to do is add the group of people, or we can create our own later on as we're setting up the tasks. And then we'll also create the project metadata that goes along with it. So this is really nice. You can search if you know some or all of the name of one of these. Again, the search is really nice. You don't have to start with, you don't have to search the beginning of the term here. It can be anywhere in the name. So it really helps to find the results you want. For the next project we build, I will go ahead and add a group here so you can see what that looks like. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and create. All right, it's pretty quick. So what we've got here are my plans. This is our new basic plan. We have an option to pin, and we've got a couple of views here. As we look through this, we can see there's a grid view. And I'll actually go there in just a moment. We're on the board view here. There's a schedule view and charts. We'll take a look at all four. But for now in the board view, essentially what it's giving us is a way to organize our tasks and also a way to create new tasks. With our different views and with all of these tasks that we're going to look at today, part of what makes this tool so great is that as the project manager or the manager of these tasks, I've got plenty of options to categorize my tasks in different ways. One way that I could categorize these is by bucket, right? So if I want to say that during different phases of my project, I'm going to need a bucket for each one. So I could make these similar to the standard project governance workflow stages. Okay, and then I can start to create tasks and add them here. For now, let's go over to the grid view. This is a view that most are familiar with because it's got different columns, and what we'll do is we'll add tasks and then fill in the columns. One thing that I just want to note here, I like to have a lot of space when I'm adding in my tasks and things like that. This menu over here is collapsible. Okay, so with this, you'll see the columns here, but what we can do is go ahead and start to add in our tasks. We can move over from column to column and then do things like make an assignment. Right now, we haven't created a group for this project, but what we're going to do is just start to enter in some names here and start to make some assignments. So we're getting this note here that this plan hasn't been shared yet. What we can do is we could simply assign this task without creating one of those groups, or we can add a group. Okay, so here we're actually creating that group of people that's associated with this plan. We'll be able to reuse this group for future plans. So I'll go ahead and add a few others. Okay, so we'll create this group. All right, so we've created a new group, and now we'll be able to, that group is associated with this plan. When I go to make assignments, it recognizes me, of course, but then also the people that I added to this group. And I'll go ahead and make an assignment here. Let's say we'll enter in our start date. The due date, we could go ahead and enter. The buckets that we set up are visible here, and then our progress as well. And then what we can do is just go line by line and add our new tasks in. Okay, so I'm just going to add a few here. I won't go too far with this because I think that you get the idea of how this all looks. So the grid view is really nice if you prefer to enter tasks in this way. It's important to note that there is that search filter here, and then there are filters at the top here too. So if we want to filter by labels, if you're used to Planner, then labels are not new to you. We'll take a look at those. We could filter by assignment. Notice that this is pre-filtered, right? So it's only showing me the tasks that are not started or in progress, and it's filtering out the completed tasks. Okay. I do just want to point out, I think I didn't get to read everything that just popped up in the chat, but based on your organizational settings, you may have different options than what I'm showing when it comes to creating a group. If you see something different in your environment than what I'm showing, it may be that you just need to talk with your admin team and see, what their guidelines are. With this grid view, at any point, we can open up a task and view more details. Okay, so if we want to set up things like labels, right, we can name these. So if we want to have a label for intake, right, we can create that and add the label here. If we want to create another label for project, right, we can create that. And this is yet another way that project managers can start to categorize their tasks so that when they're looking through the schedule, they're able to zero in on what they're interested in most. So this gives you the planner card view. I think a lot of us that use Planner already, we're used to this. We have timestamped comments, we can add attachments, we can also add checklist items. All right, and we can choose what shows on the card or not. So that view is pretty important to see. If we go over to the board view, we also have something similar, right? We can click on these cards to enlarge them and enter in the details. What's really nice with the board view is it allows you to group tasks in different ways. Right now we're grouping by bucket. We can group by assigned to. We can add tasks here if we need to. Okay, and then we can group in different based on the progress. So if we're going around talking with the team about where we are with our task, we can just drag and drop. The board view is so helpful because this drag and drop way of interacting is great, on the screen like how I have here, but also on a mobile device, it's very helpful. And then we can group by due date, by labels, by priority, any way we'd like. With the schedule, it's going to show us a calendar view, and we can look at where these tasks are in a calendar. We can add new tasks as well. This new task 3 I haven't scheduled yet, so I can drag and drop it onto the calendar to schedule it for the 12th in this scenario. There's also grouping on the side here. And then finally, the charts. This will give us just a feedback on the status of our tasks. So how many we have in each bucket, what the priorities are, what our assignments look like. So if we need to start a simple plan, whether it's for tasks that we're doing for ourselves or for a small team, this basic plan is a great way to go. Another thing that could happen, though, is that we might have more in-depth needs. Let's say that we are a project manager and we are going to start a new project plan or open an existing project plan in Planner and start to work on it. What we can do is we can create a new plan. And instead of creating a basic plan, we'll create a premium plan. And what we'll see here is that this comes with some additional features. I'm going to add this also to my pinned plans. And this time, when it comes to the group, I'm going to go ahead and add a group that is preset. So I'm going to go ahead and look for my webinar project demo team, and then I'll create. It's going to create the plan. It's going to look to see who's a member of that group and add that group to this new premium plan that we're creating. As I was creating this, there was a little, subtext that says some of the features that come with the premium plans. So I've got a Plan 3 license, a Plan 1 license, or a Plan 5 can also do this. But you'll see the views here are a little bit different than what we just saw. We've got some additional options like to take a baseline and filters and conditional coloring. And we've also got the Copilot, which is in preview. This again could be based on what your specific organizational settings are. So with Copilot, everybody could use this in a slightly different way. Our responsibility at Marquee 360 is that we build things to kind of go along with the Copilot and the other features that Microsoft gives you. What we'll do here is just kind of note that we could use the prompts here. So we could click on this one for create, and it's starting us off with the prompts. If we want to understand our data for the project once we build it, right, the understand here will give us more of an option to ask for status updates and things like that, or give us a review. What we'll do now is we'll just quickly add in some tasks. Okay, so this doesn't take too long, but essentially using Copilot, you just want to familiarize yourself with some of the prompts and how things work, but also think about what you need it to do. It's possible also, like we saw, to have templates here, but in this case, we're going to use this quick shortcut just so that we can add these tasks in here, and you don't have to watch me type all these in and format them. If you are doing that, there are options to indent or promote tasks, right? So you have all those options you're looking for. These also open up and show that card view. So if we want to add an assignment, right, it recognizes the team that I've added. We can add notes here. Our labels, like we saw earlier, we can add. But if we want to add notes to help the person assigned to this know what to do, we can do that. We can enter in our dates if we want to. So when this task will start and finish, our level of effort can be entered in here. We can have checklist items. Megan, I just saw your hand go up.
Yes, as you're going along, could you possibly point out what's new versus to the old project for the web?
Ooh, okay.
What's added? Thanks.
Yes. So part of what's added that we're seeing here, and we will go and look at, part of Project for the Web. One thing that I think is important to note at the beginning of that conversation is just that right now, Project for the Web is, transitioning to Planner, right? Phase 1 of that rollout was for Microsoft to update Teams. So if we look at this, what we're seeing is that we have these views that are very similar to Project for the Web, right? We've got those views in Project for the Web now when we're creating a project. Same with baselines and filters. What we don't have, or we didn't have right away, was the ability to make all of these same updates in Microsoft Teams. The Copilot features are also new. A lot of what we saw with the groups, that was a big topic in the chat throughout this call, that's also there in Project for the Web now. But one of the most important changes to note is related to licensing. Right now, if we wanted to build a plan in Project for the Web, there is licensing that goes along with that. But for every resource that's going to have Outlook and Teams, right, they'll also have Planner that comes along with that Office 365 license. So for those resources to be able to come here and manage more in Teams, or sorry, in Planner, they won't need to have that in that separate additional plan license. So that really impacts, the bottom line a lot as far as the number of licenses that you'll need for people to participate. And it just depends what level of participation that you want them to have. If I'm a team member that's assigned to these tasks, right, then I will be able to come into this nice new interface and make these updates. Microsoft does roll out these types of updates with a phased approach. And even with the phased approach, things are released in waves, okay? So it is possible that we might see slightly different things, but then also as we move forward throughout this year, we're going to start seeing more and more of these updates coming through. Okay. With this premium plan, we can also play with our columns a little bit more. We can hide columns. We can rearrange columns just by dragging and dropping if we want to. I'm going to hide a few of these because, again, I'd like to have a little bit more space. And then we can also add columns. When we add columns, there is a preset list of columns we can add. We can also create our own new field, which is fantastic. Again, one of the most powerful things about all of this is that the PM has multiple options as far as how they classify their tasks. So if I need to have all of my tasks answer a certain question, right? Let's say approved. What I can do is start to indicate for each one of these tasks, whether it's approved and have the yes or no here. Right, so if that's something that I need to personally track, I can. See, I saw a question in the chat that I just want to check on right before the Power BI one.
Yes, Mark asked.
Dependencies.
Yeah, and Mark also wondered if you could explain the relationship between SharePoint and the Teams.
All right, so SharePoint is, so Teams is built using SharePoint, right? So we get to see that when we're looking at like our file structure and things like that. I also saw the question about dependencies, so we'll look at that. With the dependencies, when we're looking at these tasks in the premium version and we expand this card, you'll note the card looks a little bit different. We have got some additional options here. One of them is for the dependencies. So when we go to add dependency, actually, we don't want to do that with the first task on our list, right? So I'm going to open up this second task. And I'm going to expand this, again, just to have a little more space. But we can add our dependency. It'll suggest the tasks that are right above it. And then when we choose this, we get to choose the dependency type too. If somebody is a little bit new or maybe unsure, there's a preview here. It's optional to have the preview, but it'll show you exactly what this will look like in a Gantt view. So finish to start, right? One finishes, the next one can start. We could do finish to finish or start to start. And if we do choose one of those later too, we can choose to add a lead or lag time and specify what that looks like. So the dependencies are there. We can add attachments. We can have goals also. If there are different goals that we need to track, sometimes for a project, we'll have different compliance training or things like that that we need to do for our customers. So what we can do is we can create goals. And this, again, is a way that the project manager can list out their different tasks and categorize them. Okay, so when we see this custom field also, right, the one that I created, it's here. So we can add a specific number of these. We can add up to 10. And with this, the other views really come into play nicely here too. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but some things to note here, baselines. This is somewhat new, and we're excited for additional baseline values beyond baseline 1 to start coming here. But we can add a note, and essentially we can just save our first baseline. If anything does change, let's say this changes to 10 days. When we go back over to our baseline, we'll see the updated, what the impact of that was. There is conditional coloring. So if I need to track all tasks that are assigned to a specific resource, let's say that I want to see all tasks that are assigned to equals, and then it knows that I'm looking for a person, Megan. Right, so this conditional coloring you can set up on multiple fields, but it helps you to keep an eye on certain things. So if I want to just mentally note that I need to make sure that I check in with Megan and support her as she's working on these tasks, this is a great way for me to see where Megan is in this schedule.
Mia, a couple of questions. Will all the projects created with Project for the Web, will they be automatically viewable on the new planner?
Yeah, so what will happen is that Project for the Web, we are going to start knowing that as planner. Okay, so when we talk about the new planner, that involves Project for the Web. So we'll be able to keep a lot of the experience that we have now in the browser, and we are going to take a peek at some of that today. And then we'll also have some more enhanced features like what we're seeing today. All right, I'm going to go over to the board view. We'll take a look there. Again, we can categorize these by buckets. We can group these by assigned to. Not only can we view people and their assignments, but we can make our assignments from here. All right, we can also group these by labels if we've created any. We can group these by sprints. So if you need to do an agile project, this type of premium plan does support that as well. It's really great because everything shows up in the backlog, and then you just go ahead and define what your sprint is going to be. So we'll say sprint 1 is going to be from August 1st. We'll pretend that we did this last week. We recently did a webinar a few weeks ago about agile projects in Project for the Web and the new planner. So you can always refer to that and let us know if you want to know more about that webinar. But we talked there about how to set up the sprints, but also how to organize our tasks so that when we are building our sprint, we know what tasks we are focused on. We used our filters as part of that so we could look at things by t-shirt size or Fibonacci number and kind of bring all of that together. For people that are more visual, there's also a timeline view. So we can use this to add dependencies, right? Just by dragging and dropping directly in here. We can update durations or timing of tasks just by clicking and dragging and dropping on here. We can also open up more of that card type of view by double clicking on the bar on the Gantt chart. So all the same fields that we saw here, we can view or update. We saw charts with the other type of plan, right? So we get to see data about our tasks. We can see the people that are assigned here and get some information about them. There are some view options as well. The goals that we talked about earlier. So we can add our goals in here by using add goal, and then we can bring in tasks that are associated with this goal. And then with assignments, this is a lot more a way to look at tasks by resource or also group by task and look at each task and which resources are assigned. Megan, was that you?
Yes, it was. Corinne wants to know if they'll be able to build roadmap on the new planner.
So there are a couple of options that you'll have. First, part of Microsoft's product family does include roadmap. So those roadmaps will still be available. There are also some other options when it comes to kind of overall portfolio planning and planning for the company overall when it comes to key objectives, right? So one of the things that you'll probably see from us very soon is how to track how this project and the individual tasks fit into the bigger picture. So look for that coming forward.
Thanks. And then also, Gareth would like to know if there's an undo button.
Right now, what we'll see is that we do have undo. We'll be able to see that also when we go into the browser, right? So in the browser, it pops up there's a little pop-up when you add things that'll say undo, right? Especially if we're going to delete something. Control Z also works there too, so that you can bring it back. That's kind of the handiest time to have it. But yeah, there are some undo functions. And then others, like adding the baseline, if we've already, at this point, we would just go have to update it. In this section, right, we've looked at kind of the individual tasks that are assigned. We've looked at tasks that are coming to us from plans, and then we looked at how to create plans. But in addition to that, there is more that we may want to do. So far, we've been focused more on the projects, right, or the project plans. But when it comes to the tasks in those project plans, there is more that goes along with that. What we do at Marquee 360 is we do have an accelerator that adds to everything that we track in a traditional project plan. So what I would like to show next is, I'll drag this over, is PPM 360, which is our accelerator for Project for the Web / the new planner. And what that does is it adds to everything that we just saw. If we need to track things like reporting, whether it's reporting within the app or in Power BI, PPM 360 gives you that capability. If you need to track things like issues and risks and changes as they're occurring, or general project information that you can use for reports, this PPM 360 solution gives you that. As we look at PPM 360 here, and we're looking at the menu on the left, you'll get an idea of some of the things that we can track. There's resource management. We can tie our projects with portfolios and/or programs here. At the beginning of the project lifecycle, there is an option to create an intake request. So if you are not just going into the system and creating new projects, but maybe you need those projects approved first, right? This can really help to have a process where you're collecting the ideas for new projects and then giving your team a chance to review them and then choose whether we create a project from this or not. So there are intake request portals where we capture all the ideas for new projects. There is a workflow that we use to determine whether these should become a project, whether they get approved, put on hold, or rejected. And then once they're approved, they do become projects. There's a fair amount of information that we're capturing on these intake requests. So any information that we're capturing on the request can also carry over into the project once it's created. But this is where we can start to capture the value that this is going to provide. As a request, we can capture what our proposed timeline is, what our proposed budget will be. There's a rating system, so you can score intake requests and see how they fit into the overall priorities of the organization based on a score. So lots of great things we can do with our intake app. We actually did do maybe in the last 2 months or so, a webinar that was specifically focused on the intake app. So we can always share that with you or meet with you and share more about that. Once these requests for a new project are approved, the project is created. The project is created based on the request. So there's a lot of that information from the request area that carries over. And then we get to see our project listed. So I'll open up a project and just give you an idea of some of the data that we can collect there. So first, this project includes a project governance workflow at the top, okay? This also includes several different tabs. So there's a summary tab with general project information. We can tie a project to a program or a portfolio. We have the project charter, which has that information from intake. We've got an area to track a project status report on a weekly basis. So we can track these status updates week by week and then see the overall updates there. We can track our tasks, and this will look very familiar to all of you. The tasks portion here is straight from Microsoft and what we just saw in that new planner app. So we'll be able to recognize those views that we saw and a lot of what we updated for our project plan that we created together a few minutes ago. So all those nice views we saw, the baseline, the filters, the conditional coloring, we've got a lot of those same options right here now. But then also this includes risks and issues. Megan, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Tim wants to know if they can convert an existing basic plan to a premium plan within an existing team.
That is a good question. I will need to look into that. So let's stay in touch. We can get back to you about that. Is there anything else in the chat that I may have missed, Megan?
No, I think that brings us up to date.
Okay. All right, so we were just about to talk about how we can track risks and issues and changes here. Also lessons learned. What we do with our out-of-the-box solution is we build it on the Power Platform. So you can see here we're in Power Apps. But what that allows us to do is do things like include Power Automate flows. If we need to set up a flow that is going to send out a copy of our weekly status update to somebody, we can add that flow. If we need to set up a flow that is going to create an issue from this risk, we can add that in there. So the Power Platform gives us the ability to make sure that based on your unique customer needs, right, that we are keeping everybody informed at the proper level. If we need to send Teams notifications to notify people that they were assigned to a risk, for example, we can do that. There are also in-app notifications that we can set up so that when someone logs in, they see their updates here. So here I can tell I've got a change request that is assigned to me to approve. I've been added to a couple of new projects in the last few days. So that's an important kind of side note about, the power of this Power Platform.
Someone's asking to look at the Changes tab.
All right. Let's take a quick look because we actually do have flows that we use here too. But with the Changes tab, this is where we can track those changes that are going to affect things in our schedule or anywhere in the project. So with all of these risks, issues, changes, decisions, and lessons learned, they're all set up in a similar way. There's a grid here where we can view the existing items, and then we can create a new item as well. All right, so we've got this suggestions turned on. This is another one of those newer AI features, but it's suggesting some items here, so that's why you might see this here. But essentially what happens with the change is we're able to fill in all the details about that change. Part of what we're also capturing is the status of the change. A lot of times changes do need to go through an approval process, right? So in this case, if I go ahead and enter in this change, it will get sent out for approval, right? In this case, that approval was sent to me. I do have in my email inbox history and in my Teams notifications history, the request to approve that change. And then as I go through and approve that change, what will happen is that it'll update the status here, and then we can track those changes and see their impact on our projects. I'm going to leave this one instead of filling it out, but do you have any other questions about the Changes tab? I will also point out that, one of the kind of recurring themes of what we've seen today in this webinar is that, we have different needs as project managers. It could be based on our organization and how we run our projects. It could be based on the type of project that we're doing. So we saw in the beginning that basic plan, we saw that premium plan that was a lot like this. But when it comes to the plans that we're using, one thing to note about PPM 360 is that first, it's a pre-configured solution, so it makes it very quick and easy for us to deploy. And then what we do is based on your requirements, we can customize it. And when we customize it, we can adjust it so it looks like what you need. So for example, right here, we can see that we've got all of these tabs. If you need something that's more aligned with that basic plan we saw earlier, then there are different versions of it that could be a little bit more focused to what you specifically need.
Mhm.
All right, so in this case, we'll see that there are less tabs. In this case, this customer just needs to track their tasks, of course, the risks, the issues, and the status updates. So when we do a deployment, requirements gathering is an important part of each implementation for that reason, so that we can tailor this based on what you need. If you have also specific questions about how you use a system to run your projects and how we can accommodate that, we would love to do a personalized demo for you so that we can show you those. I also wanted to point out, right, we talked a little bit about the use of the Power Platform here. An important part of that is reporting. And Power BI, as long as we're capturing data about our projects here, we can view that information in Power BI. Our PPM 360 pre-configured solution does come with a report pack. And what you can do with that report pack is use it to analyze the current state of your projects. You can use that for planning as well when it comes to resource assignments. But what we can see here is that there are a couple different levels of these reports. This first page here is geared towards intake. We saw those intake requests a little while back when we first came over to Power Apps. And with that, this report page will give us the information about those requests. If we need to check in and see how many are submitted and still waiting for a response, we can interact with the Power BI reports. They're highly interactive. Using these visuals here, we can click on them and then they will filter the report for us. There are several report pages that are at the portfolio level. So if we're interested in the health of the projects in our portfolio, we can use this page. There's also a dashboard with more general information about the projects in our portfolio, so we can use that as well. For planning purposes, it's great to have a timeline that lets us know when these projects are scheduled. So if we're evaluating when to start a new project, this can be extremely helpful when we're choosing, who a PM is going to be. We've got resource level reports too, as I scroll down, that'll help us to decide who's available from the project team to work on those projects. At the individual project level, we've got status reports, of course, so that the weekly project status updates that we enter in the project can display here and let you see the status of the project. With risks and issues and changes, there are dashboards for those. Some also choose to have a dashboard for lessons learned. It's really powerful to be able to collect lessons learned from all projects and then use your filters that are included here so that you can look to see if you're starting a new project, what similar projects ran into and what their lessons learned were. So there's a lot of power that comes with being able to use all of this information on the Power Platform and then show that information in Power BI so you can make better decisions. There's something else that we need to look at. And I talked about this a little bit before. We spent a lot of time in the beginning with teams, but we also need to look at how our projects sync over with teams. Because using Microsoft Teams is such a big component of this for our customers. We have a lot of customers that spend a lot of time in Outlook, right? A lot of time in Teams. So we want to make sure that it's easy to access everything. It looks like my system's slowing down a little bit, and it's likely due to those storms out there. But this should come up in a moment, and what we'll be able to see is that if we look at teams, we'll see our different project teams listed here. The teams that we create based on projects share the name of the project. And then what we'll be able to see is everything that's related to the project. So if I click on project details here, what we'll see in just a moment is everything that we just saw in the browser for our project. So what this does is bring together, everything on another level. Here, we're able to see our projects and make our updates. So if I'm chatting with somebody on the project team or asking them how things are going, or maybe they have a question for me, what I can do is quickly and easily access the project plan. And in addition to the tasks that we saw earlier, or the plan that we saw in Planner, we would also be able to see this additional information here. So because we're showing this information here and the source is the same, we don't need to update this in Teams and then again in the browser. Once we update this in one location by adding a portfolio or anything like that, the browser version of this project is also updated at the same time. All right, I think we've covered quite a bit. I've seen the chat is pretty busy. I do want to stop because we have a couple minutes left and just see if anybody has any questions about what we've talked about.
Lori asked a good question that others may want to know. For assigned resources, does it track hours they've expanded on the tasks projects on the task tracking feature?
Yes. So when we are looking at tasks, there are a couple different ways that we'll see that. As we're looking at this, we will be able to see the effort level that was assigned, right? The work that was assigned versus how much was completed and how much remains. So when we look at our I'll try to do this part as quickly as possible just to open up one of these cards here so that we can see what that looks like. We could do it in this, let's go to the browser where it's a little bit bigger. We can add columns here also so that we can track the effort. If we open up the details and see the card for this task, we'll be able to see the effort that was assigned versus remaining and what was completed. We also do have a place where we track resources in the project. And what that does also, it'll give a nice grid that shows the assigned tasks, the effort level. I want to kind of make sure that we quickly squeeze in with Power BI also that we do have a resource assignments report that does that too.
Mia,
So with this,
I was just going to say, after this, Lori asked to see that resources tab in PPM 360 as well.
okay. I'll show this just really quickly. We've got the resource names here. We can expand these to see the projects that they're assigned to and further expand to see the tasks that they're assigned to. But what this does is give us an idea of the start and finish, but also how far along they are and what the hour level is. So not just are we seeing when they're scheduled, right? But if they are falling behind, we get to see that progress here, and it really helps with making those assignment updates. On the resources tab in the project, the resources that I've added to this project are going to display here. And here we'll be able to see as well the total effort that's assigned, how much effort is completed, and how much remains. All right, so a couple different ways to see that information. And it really comes down to where you prefer to see it, but also, I guess, where you are at the current time, whatever's closest. Are there any other questions that we want to squeeze in? There are integrations that we do. This is based on one of the comments in the chat. In the chat, Azure DevOps is specifically mentioned, but we do integrate with other applications. Azure DevOps, we do also have some demos out there related to those, so we would be happy to share more information with you or meet and talk about how you use Azure DevOps, and then we can talk about how that would sync. But that is a popular sync that we do. With these, we do different types of integrations. Some of them are more based on financial information. Some of them are based on tasks. So that is something that is really close to us, is being able to integrate with other applications that you use.
Yes, and you saw Robert's question about the integration with the other PM software?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming. Charlene and I will be sending out the demo to our assigned accounts, and we're always happy to set up a private and customized demo.